Breaking news right now, a stunning day in American history.
Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division. I say it is time for us to come together as one united people.
Donald Trump putting the end to the 2016 election thriller, officially becoming the 45th president of the United States, praising Hillary Clinton and urging unity among the American people. NBC Charlotte at 5 a.m. starts right now.
This is WCNC, NBC Charlotte Morning News.
Well, good morning. Thanks so much for starting your morning here with us on NBC Charlotte. I'm Carolyn Bruck. As you can see, Ben Thompson is joining me live from New York City, right outside of NBC headquarters. Ben, wow. Take a deep breath just for a second, because we are waking up a different country. Donald Trump is our new president, the 45th president of the United States. This race called in his favor less than 3 hours ago. Ben, I know that you've been covering it since 5 o'clock yesterday. This went down to the wire, Ben.
That's right. If you went to bed before 3 a.m. this morning, you frankly missed a lot. Call it a stunner, call it a shocker. This was probably the biggest upset in U.S. political history. And I don't think that's an overstatement at this point, because at this point, most of the polls got this wrong. Hardly anybody was calling it like this. Consistently, Donald Trump won in states across the board that Carolyn, he was not supposed to be winning in last night.
I mean, just 24 hours ago, Ben, remember you standing next to the big board here, showing that there really wasn't a path for Donald Trump to win the White House. That is not true. Donald Trump now our president-elect. Let's take a listen to his victory speech.
I pledge to every citizen of our land that I will be president for all Americans, and this is so important to me. For those who have chosen not to support me in the past, of which there were a few people, I'm reaching out to you for your guidance and your help so that we can work together and unify our great country. As I've said from the beginning, ours was not a campaign, but rather an incredible and great movement.
And you know, Ben, that really is the thing, because, again, the projections that Hillary Clinton was going to win the White House was based on polling. The question is, people didn't tell the truth about who they were voting for. That has to be it. I mean, what are you hearing out there?
Well, the other thing about this, Carolyn, is keep in mind, while people either might not have been telling the truth, or there was an oversampling of urban populations or an undersampling of rural populations. The other thing about this, and something that political scientists are going to be studying for years to come at this point, talking to the experts, they're baffled by the fact that Donald Trump decidedly won at this point, but you still have a U.S. president in Barack Obama who has above 50% approval rating right now, part of the highest he's had so far in his administration, about the highest it was for President Reagan at his highest point too. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of political experts out there, because you have a popular president and at the same time a complete reaction to everything that he stood for. So it's baffling a lot of people. As we've said, it shocked a lot of people overnight into this morning, and will be for probably weeks and months to come. Well,
certainly. I mean, the president, I think his approval rating last checked was like 55%. So people saying that personally, people are fans of, it's so weird to not call him President Obama, of Barack Obama. Of course, he'll always be president, but it is shocking to think that. So the question is, voting for 4 more years or change. And on this side, it seems like they voted for change. Now, Hillary Clinton, she actually left her headquarters last night without speaking to supporters. A lot of people upset about that. Instead, her campaign manager addressed all the crowds there gathered in Midtown and the American people. Let's listen.
So we're not going to have anything more to say tonight. So listen to me. Everybody should head home. You should get some sleep. We'll have more to say tomorrow. I want you to know, I want every person in this hall to know, and I want every person across the country who supported Hillary to know, that your voices and your enthusiasm means so much to her.
Now, it is important to note that we are expecting to hear from Hillary Clinton at some point. We're told some point this morning she will speak, but when that exactly is going to happen has yet to be seen. It's one of those things, Ben. Were you surprised that Hillary Clinton did not come out and speak, especially because it seemed like earlier on in the night there was a party, a gathering of sorts, and then it just got very somber at her headquarters?
Yeah, you know, Hillary Clinton always said that she didn't take this for granted, but you got to think that she was a little shocked, a little stunned by the way this whole thing turned out.
Yeah, certainly. All right, thanks, Ben. We're going to have live team coverage of all the important races here in North Carolina, specifically the hotly contested governor's race. This was a race that everybody across the nation watching. And also there's a race here, of course, for the Senate seat right here in the Tar Heel State. You see all of our reporters fanned out. They're covering all that. But first, let's get a check of your forecast on this Wednesday morning, day after election. You can breathe a little sigh of relief because it is over. Taking a live look from our uptown Charlotte view cam, you can see Duke Energy. You can still see it, that it's lit up. I think it's red, white, and blue still. Patriotic look in the sky. Really, really pretty. Larry, we are actually fine this morning, but we're not going to get that much warmer.
What we're looking at is some light rain. Finally, some much-needed rain. Not everybody's getting it, but there are some showers out there. Take a look at first one Doppler radar. You can see some light rainfall towards Kannapolis, all the way up Interstate 85, Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, up Interstate 77 towards Iredell County, around Lowesville. Some very light rainfall near Cornelia, so you'll notice that. Enough to mess up the windshield. We'll take you hour by hour. One good thing about this, with the cloud cover, our temperatures are in the 50s this morning. By the afternoon, we'll see some sunshine, with temperatures today ranging into the mid-60s and winds up around 10 to 20 miles an hour. So some light rain across parts of the area this morning. How is that affecting your commute so far? Here's Brooke Cass.
So far, not too bad out there on the roadway. Still looking pretty good. We do have one accident that's working right now, but not causing any big delays at the moment. Taking a wider look around the metro area, you can see all those interstates in really good shape this morning. No accidents or incidents on those to talk about for you. I-77 moving smoothly there at Remount Road. Carolyn?
Thanks so much. All right, 5:07. Let's turn now to the governor's race right here in North Carolina. It is the most high-profile governor's race in the nation. Roy Cooper, now leading Pat McCrory by a hair. You can see just how slight that is. As we told you, we do have live team coverage across the board. NBC Charlotte's Rachel Roller following Attorney General Roy Cooper. We're going to get to her in just a moment. But first, let's start with NBC Charlotte's Richard Devane, who is on the trail with the incumbent, Pat McCrory. You are in Myers Park. All right, so Richard, McCrory says we will not know the results until the end of next week. Both sides, though, declaring victory. So what gives here?
What gives is we have a razor-thin race, if you will. For the longest period of time, Governor McCrory had trailed Attorney General Cooper by anywhere from 4 to 6 percentage points, and that disadvantage had narrowed over a period of time. But as you can well imagine, it just wasn't enough come Election Day.
We're going to make sure that every vote counts in North Carolina.
It was not what those in attendance wanted to hear or see, learning that the closest race in the state of North Carolina is not yet over. A razor-thin margin left Governor Pat McCrory about 5,000 votes behind Roy Cooper.
The election is not over in North Carolina. That's why we've delayed coming out here. Let me tell you where we're at right now. There are still some precincts that are open tonight that have not turned in their votes.
Last night, McCrory did not concede the race, instead pledging to wait until all votes, including provisional votes, are counted. While the rest of his party, from Trump at the top to many statewide offices, including Lieutenant Governor, won, McCrory is left on the sidelines, waiting at least until November 18th.
I'm extremely proud of what we've accomplished in North Carolina. I'm extremely proud of our record. I'm extremely proud of the Carolina comeback. And we're going to do this the right way.
Yeah, they're going to do this the right way, but what it appears at this time is an uphill battle for Governor McCrory. He will wait till the 18th. At that time, he may find out that he is the outgoing governor. Of course, that remains to be seen, but for now, we're in Myers Park. We'll send it back to you.
Hey, so Richard, we're talking about what, 5,000, really 5,000 votes at this point separates the two. Why the 18th? Is this something like that's when they have that an amount of time to count the provisional ballots, or what is the timeline for that?
That is correct. He is asking for there to be a count. He said several times when he made his speech last night, not a concession speech, but his speech last night, we're going to go by the process. And the process says that they will count all the votes, including the provisional votes, to make sure that they all add up correctly. That date, the soonest that they'll have all of that done, would be the 18th of November.
All right, Richard Devane live for us there in Myers Park. Thanks so much. All right, let's get to NBC Charlotte's Rachel Roller, who's live in Uptown. So, Rachel, you are covering Attorney General Roy Cooper. He is already claiming victory, so you have both sides claiming victory. Again, I'm going to ask the question, what's going on here?
Yeah, Carolyn, if you're waking up confused this morning, there's a lot of people doing the same exact thing. Now, this is the hottest governor's race in the country. We well know that by now, but the issue is one campaign went to bed saying it's not over, and the other campaign went to bed saying they won.
Thank you! Thank you!
Loud cheers filled the room in Raleigh as Roy Cooper took the stage into the early morning hours Wednesday morning.
We have won this race for governor of North Carolina.
The battle between Pat McCrory, a Republican, and Democratic challenger Attorney General Roy Cooper remains as close as ever, with more than 99% of precincts reporting their ballots. Cooper led the incumbent McCrory by 3,728, with 99.93% of precincts reporting.
Confident that these results will be certified and that they will confirm victory.
While Cooper's speech was very brief, it appeared to be a victory speech.
And that's leaving so many people scratching their head this morning. Do we have a new governor or do we not? Now, as of last night, there were 93,000 votes in question out of Durham and 10,000 in the coastal communities, as well as those provisional ballots that you mentioned, Carolyn. Governor McCrory, as Richard just said we will have to wait until November 18th for all of those to be recounted for North Carolina to declare a governor. Reporting live in Uptown, I'm Rachel Roller. Back to you.
All right, Rachel, thanks so much. Sticking with the races right here in North Carolina, Senator Richard Burr pulling out a win here in the Senate race. This after one of the most expensive Senate races in the country. The incumbent beat out Democratic challenger Deborah Ross. NBC Charlotte's Ty Chandler live outside of the Republican office in Charlotte. So at one point, Deborah Ross was actually in the lead. Ty?
Well, you know, going into this race, they were in a virtual tie. It was a dead heat, so it was close going in. But Richard Burr managing to edge out Deborah Ross. We were here a few days ago with him when he stopped by the Mecklenburg County Republican office, thanking supporters for all their works, all their effort on the phone. It looks like those efforts paid off.
I thank you from the bottom of my heart for this victory, which will be the capstone of my public service.
Senator Richard Burr holding on to a third term in a tough-fought race between Democrat Deborah Ross. Recent polls put the two in a virtual tie heading into Election Day. But Burr came out ahead, capturing 52% of the vote. Ross, 45%.
Well, it's not the outcome that we wanted, but I have zero regrets.
Ross served in the General Assembly and recently as an attorney and lobbyist for the ACLU. Relatively unknown outside of Raleigh, millions of dollars poured into her campaign as Democrats look to take back control of the Senate.
That we got in this race for the people of North Carolina. And I have loved going to more than 90 counties throughout this state.
But it wasn't enough.
It's an honor to be granted a third term in the United States Senate.
Burr giving credit to voters and the woman he calls his secret weapon.
I could have never accomplished even a fraction of what I've done without the strength and help that I get every day from my wife, Brooke.
Now, Deborah Ross saying that she hopes her campaign will inspire others to pursue public service. Senator Burr saying this will be his last campaign. From the Mecklenburg County Republican office, I'm Ty Chandler, NBC Charlotte.
Ty, thanks so much. All right, back to the headline of the morning. Donald Trump is our new president-elect. Reaction flowing in across the United States. And one specific reaction we're watching closely is that of the U.S. stock market. Dow futures plunging overnight. So let's go out to Ben again. Ben, you are really where this all takes place in New York. What's the feeling there?
Yeah, Carolyn, Trump Tower just located a few blocks from where I'm standing. Actually, you know, Trump might be touted as a billionaire businessman, but the fact of the matter is the markets, they do not like unexpected activity. And as we've established, as we know, The events over the past 12 hours are slightly unexpected to the market. So the Dow futures dropping over 800% or over 800 points at one point overnight. The Asian markets dropping as well at one point. At this point, markets wanting to see things stabilize. Again, they were not expecting the market or the race to go in this direction. So they want stability at this point. That's what they want more than anything. So as the stock market comes open in the next few hours, the Dow as well as the S&P, that's what we're going to be looking for, is to see where they go, not just the futures, but actually the market itself, to see if they can stabilize once the news of this starts to settle in for everybody, not only across the nation, but as I mentioned, across the world as well.
Very true. All right, Ben, thanks so much. You know, one indication that there was some question about volatility of the market is when people started buying gold, and these early results started to come in. And you know, whenever people start to buy gold, that's when you can tell there's some question and uncertainty. All right, Ben, thanks so much. Coming up after the break, we continue to follow breaking news of Donald Trump's victory, becoming the next president of the United States. Stay with us. NBC Charlotte's going to be back in 3 minutes. And if you're just waking up with us, Donald Trump has been elected our 45th president. All right, taking a look at this video. This is coming out of Portland, Oregon, a state that swayed Hillary Clinton. Protesters took to the streets overnight. What they were saying, we can't say on television, but this started small and then kind of erupted into a big thing. And then before that, in Washington, D.C., there was a large group gathered outside of the White House as the election returns came in late last night. Among the dozens outside the presidential residence, anti-Trump protesters, many of them demonstrators. They chanted, they held signs calling the Republican presidential candidate a racist. Let's turn to our weather and some good news for us because, Larry, we needed rain.
Yeah.
Desperately. Now, let's not overstate it. We're not getting a ton of it, but a little bit.
Anything is welcome,
right,
and we'll take a look and show you what's going out there right now. If you're heading out the door this morning, we are looking at some pockets of precipitation. We have had some shower activity out there. What we are dealing with right now in the western part of the state, in fact, west of Mecklenburg County, is a situation with a burning ban because of the extremely dry conditions and some forest fires over near Lake Lure and Chimney Rock in that area. Another band of rain that's maybe affecting a little bit, but not enough to cause those fires to go out. As we scan the skies, you can see some light rainfall between Charlotte and all the way up towards Greensboro, High Point, and Winston-Salem, almost up Interstate 85. Another band of showers up Interstate 77. We'll zoom in and show you some light rainfall near Huntersville, over along Interstate 85, pretty close to Kannapolis, and some light rain showers south of Little River, Love Valley, up there in Iredell County, getting some light rain as well. Tell you at a glance, cloudy, a stray shower this morning, upper 40s to near 50s, so not as chilly as it was this time yesterday. As we get to noontime, mainly cloudy, mid-60s. We'll see some sunshine this afternoon. Temperatures today more seasonable, back into the mid-60s as we check across the area right now. 51 at Rock Hill, 53 at Hickory. We're at 51 in the Queen City, over at Wadesboro and Rockingham, both spots in the upper 40s. We check your forecast temperatures today. In the mountains, kind of cool up there. Upper 40s for the high country, upper 50s, low 60s in the foothills. A few showers this morning for the Piedmont, the upstate, the Charlotte area. Mainly cloudy across the area this morning. Some very light rainfall with high temperatures this afternoon for the most part in the mid-60s. You go east of here today, check it out. Cloudy this morning, a stray shower, high about 64 at Albemarle, 68 at Lancaster, Wadesboro and Rockingham, with temperatures to this afternoon in the upper 60s. That's the weather board. Let's get a check on the commute this morning. Take it over to Brooke Cass.
Larry, thank you. If you're getting ready to head out the door, we do have one accident that's working out there. This is over on English Sparrow Lane between Cameron Wood Drive and Covey Hollow Court. Not seeing big delays with this, not a big impact on traffic. Just be careful if you're heading down from I-77. You can see that rain Larry was talking about between Cornelius, Huntersville. So if you're heading southbound or northbound on 77 through that area, might see a little bit of a slowdown through there. A live look outside, though, I-77 at Trade Street looking pretty good right now. Carolyn?
Brooke, thanks so much. Coming up after the break, we continue to follow breaking news. Donald Trump's victory, becoming the next president of the United States. Stay with us. NBC Charlotte is going to be back in 2.5 minutes. It is 5:25, just about. If you're just waking up with us, big news. Donald Trump has been elected our 45th president. Here right now is a live look at Democracy Plaza in New York City. Much calmer than it was just a few hours ago when that victory came down. Now, just miles from that last night, Hillary Clinton supporters upset as polls favored Donald Trump. The crowd in Midtown Manhattan really remain muted into the early morning hours. It was a celebration earlier on in the night, and then it turned to what you're seeing there. Clinton's campaign chairman even told the crowd to leave, as Clinton would not be speaking. Brooke is now taking a look at a map of all the counties here in North Carolina, because North Carolina really playing a part, as many other areas did, to just see how Donald Trump was able to win here in the Tar Heel state. So Brooke, what can you tell us about what we see right there?
Well, North Carolina was definitely expected to be a battleground state. It was, but you can see lots of red on this map. Now, it kind of played out in some respects the way we thought it would. Clinton winning in some of the bigger city centers, Charlotte area, Mecklenburg County, of course, Raleigh, Greensboro, Fayetteville. But Trump, you can see, dominated really the rest of this state. And this is a battleground state that does typically lean Republican, although 2008 we saw Barack Obama win. He lost, though, the next election to Mitt Romney. So again, you can see a lot of red on this map. This was not a tight race, though, like we saw with Barack Obama back in 2008. This was a split of 51% to 47%. 3% voting for Gary Johnson. So, Carolyn, even if Clinton would have gotten that 3%, still wouldn't have been enough to win the Tar Heel state.
All right, Brooke, interesting to see how it all breaks down. Thanks so much for that.
Finally, we do have some rain out there. How long will this be around your morning drive? We'll check the forecast right after the break.
Breaking news now at 5:30. History in the making. Donald Trump staging a stunning electoral upset.
The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer.
While the most hotly contested governor race in the nation, right here in North Carolina, remains too close to call.
It's been a long journey to get to this point.
We're going to make sure that every vote counts in North Carolina.
NBC Charlotte News at 5:30 starts right now.
This is WCNC NBC Charlotte Morning News.
Well, good morning. Thanks so much for starting your morning here with us on NBC Charlotte. I'm Carolyn Bruck. You can see Ben Thompson joining me live from New York City, right outside of NBC headquarters. The hot spots for the last, 24 hours, Ben. Just a few hours ago, we learned who will be the next commander-in-chief. Donald Trump declaring victory just before 3 o'clock this morning, and this went down to the wire, Ben.
That is right. I'm here on the Today Show Plaza. Our friends here at the Today Show was here on Democracy Plaza last night watching the returns come in, also just a few blocks away from both where the Trump campaign and the Clinton campaigns were gathered here in Midtown Manhattan. You know, it's interesting here, a bit of irony. Donald Trump winning an election that he has said all along was rigged. At the same time, Hillary Clinton, we're expecting to hear from a little bit later this morning. It'll be interesting to see what she has to finally say. Carolyn?
Well, certainly, and that really is the thing. We have not heard from Hillary Clinton yet. When we learned that she did make that call and conceded the race, her campaign manager came out instead and thanked everybody, so it'll be interesting to hear what she has to say. We're supposed to hear from her this morning. Exactly when, not so sure. As far as voter turnout's concerned, though, Ben, voter turnout was up across the country.
It was, and it was thought that that would only help Hillary Clinton, but as we saw, time and time again across the board, and even those Democratic strongholds, places that it was thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win, it did not help her. Instead, Donald Trump consistently won in places that it was not expected he was going to win, even with high voter turnout. Carolyn?
Interesting stuff. All right, Ben, we're going to keep checking in with you there. We also have live team coverage of all the important races that are here in North Carolina, specifically the hotly contested governor's race and the race for a Senate seat here in the Tar Heel state. You can see all of our reporters fanned out. They are spread out to give you the most information. What we want to get a check of your weather, because I know that you're thinking about that. Day after the election, stress is over. Here's a live look at uptown Charlotte from our view cam. Nice, crisp and clear morning. You can see Duke Energy Building lit up. Patriotic because, yes, day after election, new commander-in-chief, the commander-in-chief of our weather center. As always, Larry Sprinkle, we elect you time and time again.
My honor to do that, to serve this country and to serve the community. Do have some light rainfall out there this morning. Take a look at first warned Doppler radar, and you can see a band of showers mainly north of the city. And you can see as we zoom in here some very light rainfall in areas around Concord, all the way up towards Rockwell as you get into Rowan County. Another band of showers as you get towards Interstate 77 northbound around Eagle Mills, Turnersburg, and Love Valley. Some light rainfall. Check it out today. Around 66, some clouds and rain this morning. 67 tomorrow. Near 70 on Fridays. We head to the weekend, cooling down. Saturday's high 57. Sunday game day looking pretty good with a high of 60, low to mid 60s next Monday and Tuesday. That's a weather word. Let's get a check on the commute this morning. Here's Rick Gass.
Larry, thank you. If you're getting ready to head out the door, we do have reports of some debris on the roadway. This is along I-77 northbound near Sunset Road. Not seeing any delays with this, but I'll keep an eye on it, let you know if anything changes there. Also, still have that accident working English Sparrow Lane between Cameron Wood Drive and Covey Hollow Court. Not a big impact on traffic in that area. A live look outside, and you can see traffic moving pretty smoothly there, I-85 at Statesville Avenue. Carolyn?
Brooke, thanks so much. All right, 5:34 just about. Let's turn back to that major breaking news story. Donald Trump elected the 45th president of the United States. Ben Thompson again in New York City. So Ben, just 24 hours ago, you were standing here in the NBC Charlotte studio breaking down for us on the big board exactly the route to the White House. And it looked like there was absolutely no way Donald Trump could win based on polling. What happened there?
That's right. And then last night I stood here on Democracy Plaza and spoke to political analysts and watched in disbelief. They thought time and time again some of these states were going to go for Hillary Clinton, and they simply did not. And the night, as you saw yourself, went much later than a lot of people expected.
And that was the interesting thing, because the early results kept coming in, and then they started, watching coverage, breaking it down county by county. You can see even here in North Carolina how everything really came down to votes, and people question if their vote matters. It certainly does. NBC's Tracy Potts has been monitoring results all night long from New York City. Let's hear that.
It is my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce to you the President-elect of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump declared victory.
I pledge to every citizen of our land that I will be president for all Americans, and this is so important to me.
Sources tell NBC Hillary Clinton called Trump to concede. Publicly, her campaign held out hope.
We can wait a little longer, can't we? They're still counting votes, and every vote should count.
At both headquarters, faces told the story. Cheers for Trump.
We're just excited about having a chance after 8 years of failed policies.
Tears for Clinton. They split battleground states, Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida for Trump, Nevada, Virginia, Colorado for Clinton. This morning's opening bell, uncertain. Dow futures sinking lower than 9/11 overnight. NASDAQ and S&P futures temporarily halted. Wall Street's nervous.
Now it becomes a guessing game as to how badly hit this market will be in the morning.
Anti-Trump demonstrators rallied at the White House, stunned.
We're certainly disappointed about the results. I mean, we're still hopeful for something better to come.
Exit polls tell an interesting story. The rural vote, white voters without college degrees largely underestimated as the vote count continues.
And foreign reaction is pouring in this morning from European allies, uncertain what this means for them, and from Russian President Vladimir Putin congratulating Trump, saying the two countries should cooperate. Tracy Potts, NBC News, New York.
Turning now to the governor's race right here in North Carolina, the most high-profile governor's race in the nation. Roy Cooper now leading incumbent Pat McCrory by 5,001 votes. If you don't think your vote counts, that says it all. As we told you, we do have live team coverage across the board. NBC Charlotte's Rachel Roller is following Roy Cooper campaign. But first, we want to check in with NBC Charlotte's Richard Devane, who's following Pat McCrory, the incumbent. You're live in Myers Park. So, Richard, okay, so we're not going to know the results until the end of next week. What are we doing in the meantime? 5,001. That's a very precise number of votes.
That is a precise number of votes, Carolyn. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning, all. Yeah, one of the things that you would have to understand is that Governor Pat McCrory had a lot of support when he ran and won the race for governor 4 years ago. You could go all through areas like Myers Park and find signs just like this. but we drove around for a few moments this morning trying to find a sign, and this is one of only 3 that we found in the area. That probably told you a lot that you needed to know, that the votes and the support for Pat McCrory that was here 4 years ago just wasn't here this year.
We're going to make sure that every vote counts in North Carolina.
It was not what those in attendance wanted to hear or see, learning that the closest race in the state of North Carolina is not yet over. A razor-thin margin left Governor Pat McCrory about 5,000 votes behind Roy Cooper.
The election is not over in North Carolina. That's why we've delayed coming out here. Let me tell you where we're at right now. There are still some precincts that are open tonight that have not turned in their votes.
Last night, McCrory did not concede the race, instead pledging to wait until all votes, including provisional votes, are counted. While the rest of his party, from Trump at the top to many statewide offices, including Lieutenant Governor, won, McCrory is left on the sidelines, waiting at least until November 18th.
I'm extremely proud of what we've accomplished in North Carolina. I'm extremely proud of our record. I'm extremely proud of the Carolina comeback. And we're going to do this the right way.
And they say they vow to count each and every vote. We can tell you that one of the things that a lot of exit polls showed is that a lot of voters were displeased with House Bill 2. We're in Myers Park. Richard Devane, NBC Charlotte.
Richard, thanks so much. Well, NBC Charlotte's Richard Roller is going to show us how Roy Cooper is already claiming victory.
Loud cheers filled the room in Raleigh as Roy Cooper took the stage into the early morning hours Wednesday morning.
We have won this race for governor of North Carolina.
The battle between Pat McCrory, a Republican, and Democratic challenger Attorney General Roy Cooper remains as close as ever, with more than 99% of precincts reporting their ballots. Cooper led the incumbent McCrory by 3,728, with 99.93% of precincts reporting.
Confident that these results will be certified and that they will confirm victory.
While Cooper's speech was very brief, it appeared to be a victory speech.
And that was Rachel Roller reporting. Sticking with the races right here in North Carolina, Senator Richard Burr pulling out a win here in the Senate race after one of the most expensive Senate races in the country. The incumbent beat out Democratic challenger Deborah Ross. NBC Charlotte's Ty Chandler live outside of the Republican office in Charlotte. So Ty, this was actually a pretty nasty race all election season. Lots of ads, lots of negativity. So where we stand right now, the incumbent wins.
Well, you know, there were a lot of ads, as you mentioned. It was hard to watch television over the last few weeks without seeing a Richard Burr or Deborah Ross ad. This was one of the most watched Senate races across the country as Democrats tried to regain control of the Senate. But it just wasn't enough. In spite of all the money spent, Richard Burr came out ahead, and he came out on top.
I thank you from the bottom of my heart for this victory, which will be the capstone of my public service.
Richard Burr defeating challenger Democrat Deborah Ross.
He served this state for more than 2 decades, and he will be your senator, and please go to him because anybody who serves you needs to serve all the people of this state.
Burr and Ross headed into Election Day in a virtual tie, according to recent polls, but Burr pulled ahead, winning with 52% of the vote.
I don't consider this the end. I consider this an opportunity to inspire young people, and we've run a campaign that I think we can be proud of and has inspired them.
It's an honor to be granted a 3rd term in the United States Senate. I could have never accomplished it, even a fraction of what I've done, without the strength and help that I get every day from my wife, Brooke.
And Senator Burr calling his wife, Brooke, his secret weapon in this race, though he did say this will be his last campaign. That's Lays here from the Mecklenburg County GOP office. I'm Ty Chandler, NBC Charlotte. Carolyn?
Ty, thanks so much. Let's go back to the big reaction we're seeing in the U.S. stock market. Futures falling hard overnight, although starting to come back now. Let's get back to Ben, who's on the ground in New York City. Ben, what can you tell us there?
Yeah, investors on edge as the markets begin to open here in just a few hours. As you mentioned, those futures absolutely plummeting overnight, at one point dropping more than 800 points. At one point, we're talking like 9/11 levels that the stock market has not seen in some 15 years. That's how bad it is. Some analysts comparing it to the Brexit that we saw over in Great Britain when they chose to leave the European Union. That's the sort of impact and sort of reaction we're seeing from Wall Street this morning. Why? You have Donald Trump, a multi-billionaire by most estimates, a businessman, however, not something Wall Street was expecting for, not something Wall Street was planning for. And as we know, Wall Street does not like surprises. So at this point, you have investors and Wall Street sort of digesting this news, taking it in and trying to decide what to do next. And as the markets open here in the next few hours, will be interesting to see how they handle this news. But so far, it does not look good. Carolyn.
I mean, that's for sure. The people who deal with money don't like any sort of volatility. They want to be able to predict, and this was something certainly that no one predicted. All right, Ben, thanks so much. Let's turn now to weather, and predicting is 100% at this point good stuff, because I see something behind you we haven't seen in a really long time, Larry.
It's
green.
What
is that stuff?
I know a lot of people are going, what? That's really on the radar. You're getting some showers. Not everybody's getting the action, but where you're getting some light rain, it's certainly welcome. We're looking at first warn Doppler radar. We'll zoom in and show you some showers near Concord, just north of Mount Pleasant, over towards Meisenheimer. A little bit heavier precipitation when you go northeast of here, over towards areas around the Triad, over towards Level Cross, all there south of Greensboro. Another band of showers from Turnusburg to Yadkinville, just to the south of Moravian Falls. You get into Iredell County. As we take a look at that bus stop forecast, got some clouds out there this morning. That's keeping the temperatures not too cold as they were yesterday. We're about 48 degrees at 6 a.m. By about 10 a.m. we're at 61. And this afternoon we'll actually see some sunshine. Winds up around 10 to 15 miles an hour, mid-60s at 2 o'clock today. So the weather looking okay today. Let's see how traffic's going this morning. Here's forecast.
So we do have a couple of problems out there. If you're getting ready to head out to the door, we have an accident working on Rhine Road. This is near Mount Holly Road, causing some slight delays there, not too significant. We also have some reports of debris on the road, 77 northbound at Sunset Road. Not appearing to cause problems on 77, but we are seeing some slowdowns on Sunset Road on the approach. Drive times still looking good for you this morning. 77 I-40 to 485, just about a 29-minute ride. 85 from Kannapolis to I-77, your drive time there, just 21 minutes. Carolyn?
Brooke, thanks so much. Coming up, more reaction from around the country over Donald Trump's shocking victory. 5:45 right now on your Wednesday morning. We're going to be back in 2.5 minutes. 5:48, we do have breaking news this morning. Donald Trump elected the 45th president of the United States. What you're looking at right here, video of Portland, Oregon, a state that Hillary Clinton won. These are protesters who took to the streets overnight. This happening just a couple of hours ago. What they were saying, we cannot say on TV, but demonstrations grew. At first it was a small crowd, and then it grew to a quite mighty one. Before that, around midnight in D.C., a large group gathered outside of the White House as the election returns came in. Among the dozens outside the White House were anti-Trump protesters. You see them right there. They chanted, they held signs calling the Republican presidential candidate a racist. Regardless of who you voted for, Donald Trump is our president this morning, president-elect. All right, let's talk about weather, because on a day like today, it's nice to have, the rain can wash away all of the election stress. I hope so.
It washed away all those commercials, too.
I know. No more commercials, right?
That's right. We don't like a commercial occasionally. We do appreciate our sponsors.
Our sponsors,
absolutely.
But yes, very true.
Let's take a look at the city this morning. If you're waking up, heading outdoors, not a bad view at all as we look at uptown Charlotte, North Carolina. Nice from our view cam right there. Another view I'm going to show you, that is a live picture from Lake Lure. That's the fire that's burning in Lake Lure. You can see off in the distance right there. We kind of zoomed in. Fire continues to burn, about 30% control of that, so an unfortunate situation. And there is a burning ban in effect. You can see all the counties, including Lincoln, Gaston, all the way up to areas around Boone, and then west of there. An outdoor burning ban is something to consider. Prohibits all open burning in 25 counties right here in North Carolina. Shower activity, we certainly need it. There is some light rain. You can see showers extending north of Charlotte all the way up towards Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem. Everything is moving from west east. So it's a very light rain from Mount Pleasant to Meisenheimer, all the way up to Jackson Mill right there. Some light rain. Anything is welcome at this point. Up Interstate 77 across parts of Iredell County, run into Yadkin County, Yadkinville, Turnersburg, just south of Moravian Falls. Once again, everything is moving off to the east. You can see along Highway 73 up towards Level Cross. A little bit heavier precipitation there. Temperature-wise, not too bad. 46 at Wadesboro, 51 at Rock Hill. Lincoln checks it at 48, 51 in the Queen City. Up at Statesville, 50 degrees with some clouds and light rain near there. In the mountains today, 48 at Boone, 47 at Jefferson. Cloudy, a few showers this morning. Anywhere from the Lenore, Taylorsville, Morganton, and Hickory. Upper 50s and low 60s. For the Charlotte metro area today, we'll see clouds. Maybe a little bit of light rain this morning. For the afternoon, temperatures ranging for the most part into the mid-60s. East of here today, around 67 at Rockingham, 64 at Albemarle, upper 60s at Chesterfield, maybe a stray shower. Let's check that all-important 7-day forecast. Take you right into the weekend for today. Mid-60s, we'll top out about 67 tomorrow, near 70 on Veterans Day on Friday. Saturday, much, much cooler. High 57, low Sunday morning 34-60. The high Sunday afternoon. Great weather, football action, and then we're in the low to mid-60s Monday and Tuesday of next week. That's the weather word. Here's Brooke.
Larry, thank you. If you're getting ready to head out the door this morning, we do have a couple of issues out there. Nothing too significant, though. 77, you can see a Trade Street moving along just fine. We do have an accident reported Rhine Road. This is near Mount Holly Road, causing some minor delays there. You can use 485 as an alternate, but not a big backup with that. 77 northbound, we still have reports of that debris on the roadway there at Sunset Road, but it looks like traffic there is getting back up to speed. And taking a look around the rest of the metro, you can see those interstates really in pretty good shape this morning. Carolyn?
Brooke, thanks so much. History made today. And of course, as you can imagine, the major news outlets really celebrating big. Let's take a look at these. New York Times saying Trump triumphs. Shocking upset as outsider harnesses voters' discontent. This really is being echoed throughout all of the major papers. USA Today saying Donald Trump stuns the world, elected USA's 45th president. It really tries to break down exactly how this all happened when just, again, 24 hours ago, we were standing here showing you that the road to the White House for Trump was going to be very tricky. Again, let's take a look at New York Times or Washington Post. Which one did we look at already? New York Times. No, Washington Post. You know what? I'm getting confused because they're so similar. Again, Trump triumphs. Republican businessman wins the presidency in a stunning upset over Clinton. They can get confusing sometimes because everyone's saying the same thing. This really was a stunning upset, a big victory for Donald Trump, who all along said he was confident he was going to take the White House, and indeed he did this morning. Coming up, a stunning upset in the Senate. We'll talk about those races when we come back. 5:55, if you're just waking up this morning, Donald Trump elected the 45th president of the United States. One state the Democrats were able to keep blue, Nevada. History was made there last night as voters elected the first ever Latina to the Senate, Democrat Catherine Cortez Masto. More on the election coming up at 6.